Stellar Blade has come out on PC and has already gotten popular reception on Steam, getting positive reviews and awakening the lightning speed of modders on Nexus. At this point, I'm not even surprised. This title garnered considerable attention during its marketing phase, and upon release on PS5, it received a lot of positive feedback. I was interested in it as it was something new, but it also shared a lot of DNA with other famous titles like Bayonetta and Nier. It also caught my attention for the reasons that you're thinking. Eve is a lovely and beautiful character, and I proudly stand behind her. But that being said, I wasn't able to play this game on release. It was only on PS5, and I'll buy a PS5 when Sony gives me a Bloodborne remaster. So basically, I'm never buying a PS5. But now, Stellar Blade is on PC, and it's been resurging the praise once again for the title. And the reviews are interesting. Some will talk about how the game is good and it goes beyond just being hot girl hack and slash. But whenever I see anyone talk about this game, it's usually just about the main character being hot. There's this weird obsession recently with the gaming community glazing Eastern devs. You see a lot of discussions on Twitter talking about how Western gaming has fallen, and then they go to jack off an Eastern dev because they make a character with big tits in their game. They'll never talk about anything else. Not the story, not the gameplay, not the atmosphere, just the character design. And look, like what you like, I don't care. And I won't pretend like there are zero problems with the gaming industry. But this obsession gets creepy. So I want to go into this game and see what it's even about, because I have no idea what it's about. Everything online is just pictures of Eve. So let's see if this game is actually good as people say it is, or if it's just a game with a hot protagonist. So I gotta say, this game did not leave a great first impression. Not because of the visuals, trust me, I enjoyed Seems Like This plenty. But the gameplay starting off was very shallow. Movement felt slow, and the opening just did not have any real punch. And it felt like I was playing an off-brand Nier. Now that may be a little unfair to say, because it's very clear that Nier inspired the creation of this game. Hell, there are 2 B costumes that you can buy as DLC, so clearly the creators are fans. But Nier's opening is vastly superior to this, with throwing you into a game with badass music, an epic combat sequence, and having you as the player interact 90% of the time. This game's opening is as cliche as it gets. Crash landing, mission that goes wrong, entire squad is killed, mentor figure sacrifices themselves, protagonist is saved at the last second. Now on one hand, I get it. With so many games out today, it's hard not to notice similarities and cliches with any modern title that comes out. But there is very little to connect me with Eve as a character in this moment. Sure, I feel sympathy for her after losing her squad and mentor, but I still don't know what they were doing, what the world is like, what Eve even is. I get it, that's the point. They want you to get into the world, introduce the characters quickly, and then get right into the gameplay and story. I respect that, and some games do a similar thing. Titanfall 2 also employed a similar approach with its campaign, with the 2 games almost being identical actually. However, with Titanfall, we get a cinematic intro along with a monologue with our main character, which puts us in their perspective and gives a feel for the world we're about to enter. So while the intro in Stellar Blade is not bad by any means, it feels jarring, especially since this is an introduction to a new world and characters. But now, we get into the true gameplay. So I went into this game expecting it to be a fast-paced hack and slash. So imagine the shock that I had when I found out it's a goddamn Souls-like. Yeah, that brought the game down when it came to my expectations, because this trend in design has gotten crowded. Don't believe me? Have you played Dark Souls? Great! Have you played Fallen Order, Modern Tomb Raider, Lies of P, Black Myth Wukong, Nioh, Lords of the Fallen, Modern God of War, Remnant, Hollow Knight, Dead Cells? Then you have played this game. You have seen these concepts. Now, that's not to say I hate these concepts. Most, if not all of these games entertain for their own reasons, and they have times where the challenge of a boss or area can make intense moments with the gameplay. but at the end of the day, only one of them does it right for me, and it's From Software. I'm not even the biggest fan of their games, except this one, and I agree that only they can do this style of game the best. But even the other games have some other type of groundwork that helps them stand out, like Hollow Knight being a side-scroller, or Fallen Order being in the Star Wars universe. Now, if you're a fan of these types of games, then this game will be a hit for you. And the game does mix things up with the special abilities that Eve can get. Chaining them together on boss fights becomes quite fun. When you get 3 perfect parries in a row or dodge at the right time to see the slow-mo animation, it's a badass feeling. And I noticed that late game, I do feel like I've gotten better with the reactions and combat abilities. The combat flows well, jobbers die faster, and you can see a genuine improvement that makes the game satisfying. I don't have as much of a problem with Souls combat as much as I do with the other elements that these games tend to take inspiration from. Such as enemies respawning every time you rest at a bonfire, janky platforming that can result in catastrophic fails, fetch quests that barely hold any interest, fall damage is absolute bullshit, having to go back to a rest area when you die just to play the entire area over again, a wide open area that takes way too long to navigate on foot, a camera that is absolute dog shit, an outdated lock-on system that becomes a detriment when fighting more than one person, no hit stun on enemies that can stun lock you more than Kirby in Smash 64. Enemies that throw fucking explosives from you at high elevated areas. Why is this such a fucking trend? Oh, what the fuck? Oh my. All that for a fucking can? But if you can get through all of that, you are treated to a beautifully animated, stylistic battle system that delivers, and it pairs well with the music. Which, well, yeah, the music is good. The songs have a great push that make the fighting engaging, and a superb intensity to build up the dramatic feeling of the boss fights. And despite my annoyance with the camp system, I do like how they all come with a record player to listen to soothing jazz. A nice reprise from the action as you are fighting a lot in the open world. Hell, I got a lot of these songs saved on my Spotify now, and you're probably going to be noticing them in the background of this video right now. Yeah, the songs are bangers. Hell, something that I found out recently is that most of the camp songs are even made by independent artists. And these songs aren't even in the PS Vive version, they got added to the PC one. Shout out to U32, I discovered her in this game and her songs are beautiful. Blur is my favorite camp song and I highly recommend it. Then we get to the style of this game, which I would say for the most part is pretty stellar.
Boo this man!
Okay, but joking aside, the violence on display at the beginning of the game came out of left field. It is incredibly gory at the start, and the level of brutality we see from the monsters is terrifying. It sets them up as vicious creatures that are not to be trifled with. They cut off Taki's arm and impale her. It truly is a gruesome scene. But I gotta say, I was disappointed with how it was in the gameplay. The grab attacks are brutal, which, don't worry, you'll see plenty of that in the background gameplay. And Eve does plenty of dismemberment and decapitation to the enemies herself, but they don't do the same to her, which I kinda wish they did. I don't know, when I see Necromorph-style monsters, I expect Necromorph-style brutality. When I see the main character get brutalized in a game like Dead Space or Resident Evil, it's horrific, disturbing, and it encourages me to do better so I don't see it again. But here, Eve barely makes it to the ground before you see the respawn button. When it comes to the Naytiba, it's a mixed bag. Some of them I can see the inspiration quite a bit. They look reminiscent of something you would see in Berserk. But there are some designs that I think are kind of a mess. But I also want to give a special fuck you to these headcrab motherfuckers. They are so fucking annoying to deal with. But let's go ahead and talk about the main trio, starting with the main girl herself, Eve. So I talked about Eve before in my character design video a year ago, and my opinion from an artistic standpoint has not changed. I'm a straight guy, so yeah, I like seeing an attractive woman in a tight outfit. I'm all for having characters like this, and I think Eve, in terms of design, stands out. Her default outfit with the green is a good choice, as there aren't a lot of main characters that have green in their clothing. But I also have a love for a variety of character designs, and it is possible to have your cake and eat it too. My favorite female character is Samus Aran, and she looks like this and this. I believe there is room for various character designs of all kinds. And designers shouldn't be deterred from making a character in a specific way because of what the community wants or because of the times. And the game has a plethora of outfits that can be unlocked. And, wow, there are some interesting outfits here. Now, I'm all for customization. The main motivator for getting all the butterfly selfies was so I can unlock a new outfit for Eve. If you promise me new drip, I will grind for it. And in true RPG fashion, some outfits are good, some outfits are bad, and some are just questionable. Now, I am not against skimpy outfits. I am all for it. But at the same time, I understand that skimpy outfits are usually an alternate outfit after beating the game, or completing an in-game challenge. I also believe in equal objectification. In Resident Evil 5, you have the tribal bikini skin for Sheva, and the Road Warrior skin for Chris. Capcom understands and knows what the players want. Now, there are a bunch of outfits that allow players to have Eve look the way that they want. She can wear as much or as little. But the fact stands that when she is wearing a bathing suit in the rain, while the other characters are in scavenger coats, it's gonna look strange. But once again, that's up to the player. If they want to do that, they can. But how is Eve as a character? Well, I'll let this guy explain it.
How dull.
That about sums her up. Eve is exactly what you expect her to be. She has little to no emotion, is quiet and reserved, and stays on task. There are rare occasions where she gets emotional, and when it does happen, it hints at some of the best and most emotionally moving scenes in the game. But outside of that, she is a standard video game protagonist. Someone that you assume the role of and is used as a point of view for the player to step into. It's hilarious to me that people online are saying that she's part of this holy trinity with Bayonetta and 2B. But she's not. She lacks the sassy confidence of Bayonetta and doesn't have the cold, calculated nature of 2B. Then we have Adam, who just barks orders at you. If I had a nickel for every character named Adam that constantly told me shit to do and annoyed me with stuff that I already knew about, I'd have 2 nickels. Which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. Adam has a cool intro. He shows up in a sick-ass motorcycle, saves Eve in the beginning of the game, but then after that, he just becomes the drone guy. He tells you what to do and acts like everything is so hard.
That's enough excitement for one day.
Yeah, bro, you're really working up a sweat watching me do everything while you stay at the base and watch. Next up, we have Lily, who is the goofiest character in the group. She is introduced as the Yuffie and Ed type of character. She's in charge of helping you upgrade your drone and other gear. She does show more emotion than the other two, which isn't saying a lot, but she doesn't really have many memorable moments that I can think of that really make her stand out. Which is a shame because, much like Eve, I do think she has a pretty decent design. Now, I understand why people have gotten tired of the meta writing and cringy sarcastic dialogue that has been plaguing a lot of modern games recently. We can all agree that dialogue scenes in games like Forsaken, Dragon Age Veilguard, and the new Saints Row are awful. But dialogue in this? This is just boring. Characters stick to the plot, and rarely do we see them exude any emotion. The few moments we do, it does give glimpse at the best and most impactful moments in the game, where it mixes story and gameplay seamlessly and engagingly. But in the process of leading up to it, it's the same shit. Look, 90% of games have generic stories, but countless titles sell the world and the characters in a way that make it so that I don't want to skip the cutscene. And a big portion of that is performance and presentation. It's what makes the legendary titles like Halo and Gears of War memorable. Because while one could see a game that's about having fun and shooting, another could enjoy the characters and the context for the shooting. I usually don't like to be the one to put the blame on the acting, but the English voices sound so bland, it's enough to put you to sleep. There's trying too hard, and then there's not trying at all. And Stellar Blade is certainly the latter. The cast show more emotion in photo mode, which, admittedly, the game has a really good photo mode. The selfie camera is cool, and I like how the other characters will pose when I take it out. The story and characters are the stepping stone for the gameplay, which in this case, I understand. Not every game needs to have a deep story that has a lot to say, or an intricate design that goes beyond the industry standard. And bland characters are nothing new to video games. We have seen them for years, and we will continue to get them. So why has this game gotten all this attention? Because with the experience that I had with it, it's a middle market game with a predictable, cliche-filled story, passable combat that entertains, but not engaging enough to make it stand out with the copious of other titles that have a similar vibe to it. The art style is unique, but it's hard not to compare it to other things. The main character of Eve is certainly appealing from a visual design point, but there is not much going for her that makes her on the same level as the other icons. But, at the same time, this is a game with a price tag of $60 rather than the new $70, offers a full campaign with plenty of open areas to explore, outfits to unlock, and enemies to fight. It was ported to the PC with little to no technical problems, unlike other PC ports, and more than enough content to justify the money spent. So does it need to be anything else? The end goal of a video game should be to entertain, and despite the complaints I had, I was entertained one way or another. It kept me going until the credits. The main thing that has been annoying is the constant praising this game gets online as the new standard to the gaming industry, and the anti-woke crowd will use Eve as a catalyst without even mentioning the gameplay or what the story is about. And it shows to me that they didn't play the game, because those same people will talk about the repetitive trends the industry has been going through. And Stellar Blade is a continuation of that trend. But then I was also reminded of another game that came out last year that got similar praise. Was Space Marine 2 a perfect game? No. It had the same issues that many Warhammer games had, with waiting for more content to come out post-launch, and the gameplay style was reminiscent of other games that we've seen before. But that didn't matter, because it delivered on what was promised. It had a full campaign that could be played with friends, separate co-op missions that delivered, and a PvP mode that was in-depth and fun to play. And a lot of cosmetics to unlock and allow players to express themselves, all for $60. The thing about Space Marine 2 is that it had the Warhammer name to help it out. It has this vast universe surrounding it. So if you are someone like me, who is familiar with the 40k universe, you knew the context for the factions and the lore behind the characters. And if you weren't, you had a lot to learn. And it grew an interest in the overall universe, and not just the game itself. That's something that Stellar Blade doesn't have. At least not yet. The game has done more than well enough to get a sequel, and who knows? Maybe that means the world can be expanded more, and the story can grow more interesting with time. As much as I like games that have me questioning my actions and leaving a lasting emotional effect on me after I've put it down, sometimes I just want to log in, kill some monsters, listen to some bangers, and look good doing it. Sometimes it's as a big dude in armor, and sometimes it's a girl in a skin-tight outfit. So I'll leave it up to you. This game is perfectly fine. It's not going to blow your mind, and it's also not incredibly disappointing either. Gaming is not dead. There are plenty of games that still deliver today, and the 7 out of 10 games still run the industry the most. And this game is certainly a 7 out of 10 that entertains. So to revisit the question, is it good or is it Goon? It's good enough. And for most people, that's what they want.
La
Hey, how's it going? So real quick, let's talk. So as you guys can probably imagine, busy month. A lot of working, a lot of moving, but we're finally settled down in our new place and we're going to be getting some new stuff out. Hopefully in a fairly rapid and faster pace than it was before, than it took to get this video out, but the new projects we got coming out are going to be a lot more long scale, but we also got some other small stuff that we're going to be sprinkling in as well. But as usual, thank you guys for watching, thank you guys for your support, and I'll see you guys next time.